Steelers offensive coordinator Matt Canada says that Najee Harris is close to breaking out. Is that for real? What can Steelers fans actually expect? Him and Kenny Pickett need to be able to step up for this offense to go anywhere. We're talking about that, their chances against the Saints, and all Week 10 picks. We are here, right here on the Locked On Steelers podcast. I'm Chris Carter, joined today by Jenna Harner. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Steelers, your daily Pittsburgh Steelers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome to the Locked On Steelers podcast. I'm your host, Chris Carter, bringing you your daily dose of all things on your Pittsburgh Steelers. As always, you can find the show on Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Odyssey, and YouTube. If you're watching this video, you hit the like button if you enjoy it. Hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel to get all of our daily Monday through Friday episodes. We thank you for making the Locked On Steelers podcast your first listen every day. Today's episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the candidates that you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL, linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. As I said before, Jenna Harner is back on the show. Jenna, how you doing?
Chris, I am great. It was a wonderful bye week, lots of decompressing, relaxing, and now we're back. The Steelers are back at home, and it should be a very interesting second half of the season.
It should be a very interesting second half of the season. We'll see how things progress. Now, Steelers offensive coordinator Matt Canada was talking, and I've kind of like, not put as much stock into all the things that he says, because when your offense is struggling and you're the offensive coordinator and it's been happening week to week, you can't really say much, right? Like you're running out of things to say other than we need to be better. And I think that's the biggest thing is that the Steelers offense needs to execute. People can talk about play calls all they want, but he did say he feels like Najee Harris is close to breaking out. He did say that he feels like he's gotten closer to that. I know that there's a lot of people out there, Jenna, and you see it too, that are calling for Jaylen Warren to start over Najee Harris. But, and Mike Tomlin did say, like, Jaylen Warren might get more carries, not more carries than Najee Harris, but he might get more carries. But, Jenna, what's your perspective on Najee Harris, the struggles to get any production this year, and the difference between him and Jaylen Warren right now?
Well, I think it's definitely a combination of a lot of things. And I think for me, the foot injury that Najee dealt with back in training camp, there's been kind of a lot of mystery, a lot of question marks surrounding it. And it's obviously different when you cover different sports in terms of the access that you get and what information coaches and players want to divulge and what they want to tell you. But the biggest thing was, it was so intriguing because initially, remember how it came out where, Tomlin said, Najee just got stepped on. Then it was revealed that it was the Liz Frank, and Najee didn't play until that final game at the preseason. And then he had the steel plate in his shoe that he told us he took out. What was that, after week 6? So there's been kind of a lot of unknowns, it's felt like, with this situation. And I definitely could see, and you and I can both tell, that when he did take that steel plate out, you saw both in practice and on game day on the field, he had a little bit of a difference in terms of the way he was running. It seemed like he had a little more, or he had less limitations than what he did when he had that steel plate in his shoe. I just think that there's a lot that's going on. It's probably that is making a big impact on Najee's game. And it's also very situational. I think so many people are really quick to point at, look at Jaylen Warren and all these explosive runs he's had when he's had the opportunities, but it's been different circumstantially. And does that mean that Jaylen Warren is a better back or Najee Harris is a better back? I mean, both of them aren't on the field at the same time. And clearly there's a difference in them. Both are very talented, but clearly there was a reason Steelers drafted Najee Harris in the first round and Jaylen Warren came in undrafted. Again, nothing bad or negative towards either of them.
Right.
But the situations where Warren has, had some more explosive runs, there's been less guys in the box. It's been a situation where the Steelers have done some things well that they haven't had to just say, we're going to run the ball. Here's the formation. We're going to run it in. You know this formation and you know exactly what they're going to do. I feel like there's been a lot of that where it's just limiting the run game in general. And we haven't seen the run game do a lot of great things. I think there's so many question marks, but to me, it feels like more than just, saying who's the better back here, all those types of things. To me, I think there's a lot of contributing factors. And again, the biggest question mark coming into this season, I think a lot of people forget, was the offensive line. Everybody looked at them throughout the preseason and was like, oh goodness, this is what, is going to have to happen. And this is what it's going to look like. The offensive line has taken strides, but by no means is this the same offensive line that even, Ben Roethlisberger had a few years ago with guys like David DeCastro, guys like Marquise Pouncey. This is a very young, a very new, and a offensive line that hasn't played a ton together other than what we've seen throughout these 8 weeks and then 3 weeks of preseason.
No, I agree, and that's a big to me. It's a big picture problem with the Steelers' run game, not as much of a Najee Harris problem. And there's times he makes mistakes, but my problem with the people who point out the 1 or 2 times he makes the wrong cut in the game, they'll make that as if he's doing that every play, and I'm like, no. Most plays, there's 2 guys in the backfield. He's dodging them and picking up 1 or 2 yards when he should be losing 3 or 4. And that's, I think, has been the Steelers' problem, is that, they've allowed too many guys to get to him in the backfield. And yes, there's times he makes mistakes. When he caught the ball on that 3rd down against the Eagles, he should have just plunged forward. He didn't. Granted, he got the first down on the very next play and made that play really not matter in the long scheme. But still, like, there's times that, he makes mistakes. But at the same time, what I think is the biggest problem with the production is there's too many times when defenses just, even if they don't load up the box pre-snap, they're charging the box as soon as the ball is snapped. And the only time that I think that we've seen Najee Harris get off decent runs is when the Steelers hit a big pass play, or they or Kenny Pickett scrambles for some yards, and then the defense says, "Oh, we have to watch this other thing." And then all of a sudden, when they're not clogging every hole, Najee Harris can find a hole and he can get 18 yards like he did last week against the Eagles. I think this comes down to both of these guys. As much as, people talk about Najee Harris, about Kenny Pickett and their things, I think these guys are kind of dependent on each other, being the last 2 first-round picks by this team, to pick up this offense. The question will be, can they do it sometime this season, Jenna?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's kind of, twofold. You obviously want to see more from your offense in terms of pushing the ball downfield, them completing catches, Kenny Pickett hitting his receivers at the same time, his receivers making plays, not having 3 and outs. I think this all too stems with, sustaining drives and not having crazy long drives, not, 15, 16, 17 play drives that take, 10 minutes. And, as Kenny Pickett was saying, those are the types of drives that sometimes can open you up to mistakes because you're just on the field for so long and you're doing so many little things to get to, obviously, the big picture, which is scoring the touchdown on that drive. But I think, we've seen so many 3 and outs, and I feel like, you and I, when we're on Twitter during game days, I feel like I somewhat sound like a broken record. Steelers go 3 and out again. Steelers go 3 and out again. They haven't had that gelling of consistency, which of course is going to help. Not only it's going to mean that your pass game is working, but it's also going to mean your run game is doing some things well too, because when you open up the pass game, obviously, then like we saw with Najee against the Eagles, I keep going back to the one in Miami where they hit George Pickens 30 yards and then Najee ripped off like a 16-yard run, which at the same time, at that time, was his longest run. I mean, clearly you see those things work well, and then it's like, okay, of course this makes sense. But until the Steelers offense, until Kenny Pickett, until Najee Harris can do that consistently for this team, the production might just not be there. And again, that's what we've expected a little bit from this offense this season. And I really think, though, that the bye helped them kind of say, okay, here's where we can kind of focus on those little areas and see, it's not going to be a flip the switch thing automatically. Oh my God, the Steelers have a run game. But I think we will see some areas of progress just because of the fact that they had this time to work on it.
I agree. That's the big question right now, is do we see those signs of progress? They got the bye week. The Saints are on a short week. They played Monday Night Football, and they have to travel to Acrisure Stadium. I think a lot of things play into the Steelers' favor this year, making this a must-win situation. Mike Tomlin called it put up or shut up earlier this week. We'll talk more about this matchup in just a bit here on the Locked On Steelers podcast, but don't go anywhere because we're making picks next as far as all the games on this Sunday, and we'll also be making our picks for the Steelers game after that. But first, we have to talk to you guys about LinkedIn. Now, y'all know about LinkedIn. You'll probably go into LinkedIn a lot because you're looking for a new job. You're trying to update your resume. But listen up. There might be employers out there, and if you're one of those employers listening, looking for new hires, LinkedIn is also the place for you. You can create a free job post in minutes on LinkedIn Jobs that'll reach out to your network and beyond to the world's largest professional network of over 810 million people. Then all you have to do is add your job and the purple hashtag hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you're hiring so your network can help you find the right people to hire. Simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience so that you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the candidates you want to talk to faster. Did you know that every week nearly 40 million job seekers visit LinkedIn? Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonnfl. That's linkedin.com/lockedonnfl to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. back here on the Locked On Steelers podcast. I'm your host, Chris Carter, here today with Jenna Harner of Channel 11 WPXI here in Pittsburgh. Jenna, we have been doing our picks. You still have a lead on me.
I think it took a bigger lead on you this week.
You took a bigger lead on me this week. Yes, you did. I hate you for it.
82. We're in the 90th percentile here. 92nd percentile. I had a good week. I think I got only 2 wrong, and it was the Bills-Jets, which nobody thought was going to happen.
Nobody thought that happened.
I forget the other one, too. Oh, the Packers-Lions.
Packers, yeah, 2 games that I don't think too many people picked. You have 80 wins. I have 78 wins. I'm right behind you, but you better keep picking right because I'm coming for you. We got our top people, though. You're ranked 24th, so you're getting up there amongst our over 200 different pickers in our Locked On Steelers Pick'em League. But ranked right now at number 2, we have D. Collieri and Double Yoy, both with 85 wins. But number 1, Yap and Yinzer at 88 wins. Yap and Yinzer's been floating between first and second place all season long. We got a lot of people nipping at their heels. Let's get to the picks to see how we do this week and see how other people do. Let's go to the Sunday games. Of course, we don't pick Thursday Night Football because this is the Friday episode. But we lead with Sunday, an interesting matchup. Geno Smith and the Seahawks at 6-3 versus Tom Brady and the Buccaneers at 4-5. Brady, they're at home, but Jenna, I'm going with the Seahawks simply because right now they've played more consistently this year.
This one, reminder, this one's in Germany. I totally
that's right.
This
is the Germany game. I completely forgot.
This is the Germany game. I totally forgot too. So I'm just here to help because I did the same thing, but I'm still going with the Seahawks. I'm with you on this one. Yes, we saw shades of vintage Tom Brady last week in that incredible drive against the Rams, but also it was the Rams. It's not the Seahawks. Seattle's playing really well. Geno Smith looks really good. I've been seeing him in the MVP conversation, which I'm saying pump the brakes a little bit. If I'm looking at MVP, I'm saying Mahomes, Josh Allen, or Jalen Hurts. But no denying the fact that Geno Smith has been playing phenomenally. So, yeah, I'm going with the Seahawks here. They look like they were having a whole lot of fun at practice earlier this week in Germany. And this should be a fun one just to kind of get, the international NFL community even more involved and just seeing how much they love it out there. I guess there was such a wait list for these tickets too. It was crazy.
That is crazy. We'll see how that plays out there in Germany. But another big game, and this is your game of the week. 7-1 Vikings at the 6-2 Bills. This one is at 1:00 and in Buffalo. But the question is, will Josh Allen play? And everyone's been talking about it all week. Case Keenum would be the backup. If he's not, it would be the Case Keenum revenge game. Because remember, he used to quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings back when he took them to the NFC Championship game. I don't care if Josh Allen's playing. The Bills are finding a way to win this. I think their defense is talented enough. I think that they'll do enough on offense to score. I don't trust the Vikings 7-1. I think that they've earned their 7 wins and all that. But I don't think that they're on the level of the Chiefs or even the Eagles. I think that this is a team that has been fortunate to get this far. But I think even with their backup quarterback, the Bills find a way to win at home.
Yeah, I'm with you. This kind of feels like I look at this Vikings team and it's more of like a surprise 7-1. It's one of those teams that you're like, okay, your record's there, but they've won a lot of really close games. And There's a couple I feel like I go back to that they shouldn't have won and they somehow find ways to pull it out. And, hey, that's a really good thing. They're finding ways to win. But I just think the Bills to me are a better team, regardless of if Josh Allen plays or not. They have an incredibly bad taste in their mouths after last week's loss to the Jets. And they're going to say, hey, we're still the team that you believe that we are. It's a home game for the Bills. The fans are going to make that place, as Mike Tomlin likes to call it, an incredibly hostile environment. I think it's a close game, but I do think the Bills find a way to win.
Lions at Bears. Lions 2-6. Bears 3-6 in Chicago. 1:00, 12:00 local time. I'm going with Chicago. Justin Fields is too hot. I know the Lions just put off the mega upset of the Packers, but Aaron Rodgers also sucked that game. I think Justin Fields will be too much for these guys.
Yeah, Justin Fields has kind of been really coming into his own. And I've been having a lot of different conversations with a lot of people about Justin Fields and how he's been performing and how this is kind of that player they expected him to be. And I think that win for the Bears against the Patriots kind of turned things around a little bit and gave this team a whole lot of confidence after they've had, tough loss after tough loss. And while I think their defense still has a lot of question marks, I think the Lions defense also has a whole lot of question marks. But I just think that Justin Fields is going to be too much for that Lions defense. It is going to be fun to watch him continue to grow and develop here.
3-6 Jaguars at 6-2 Chiefs. Look, the Jaguars have had some moments this year when I've been impressed, but nothing impresses me enough for them to beat the Chiefs in this game. Patrick Mahomes is about to light they up.
The Chiefs still have the number 1 passing offense in the league without Tyreek Hill.
Which is crazy.
Just insane. It's fantastic to see what this team has done and just the way that they win games. I mean, especially too, it's a home game for the Chiefs. I don't see the Jags winning. I see them making it competitive early, but yeah, the Chiefs to me are one of the top 3 teams in the league right now.
3-5 Browns at 6-3 Dolphins. Listen, the Browns, if Deshaun Watson was back and everything was humming, I might pick him, but he's not, and they aren't. And the Dolphins are playing really good football. Tua's back. The offense is high flying. I think they put up some big points against the Browns and get the W at home.
This year, when Tua plays a full game from start to finish, the Dolphins are undefeated. It's just insane to see. Yeah, there's clearly chemistry that he has developed with his teammates. That offense is humming. The addition of the running back from San Francisco, Jeff Wilson. Jeff Wilson. I was going to say Jeff Williams. I'm like, that's definitely not it.
It's close
Jeff
enough.
Wilson, the addition of, the addition of Jeff Wilson to this team has been really fantastic just in terms of what they're able to do offensively with an already talented offense that they had. So, yeah, the Dolphins, to me, win this game. The Browns will get stuff going on the ground, but it will not be anything fantastic.
Jenna, your 6-2 New York Football Giants host the 1-6-1 Texans. Now, being a person who knows Jenna, I know Jenna she does never wants to give the Giants credit for anything. When they do well, they've hurt her too much. She's felt too much pain as a fan. Jenna, I'm picking the Giants. Can you comfortably pick the Giants with me this week?
I feel like I should be able to. I'm going with the Giants. I will always feel uneasy about picking the Giants because, of course, it's the Giants. But they're coming off the bye. I really what Brian Daboll has done for this team. I know there's a lot of conversations about him being coach of the year as well as some of the other fantastic coaches. Obviously, Kevin O'Connell from the Vikings, Nick Sirianni of the Eagles. But what Brian Daboll has done with this team has already exceeded expectations. I'll give you one little fun tidbit. I have, as well as my parents, we at home have New York Giants Christmas ornaments. And the rule is you can only put it on the tree depending on how they're doing. So if they're playing well, you can put them on the tree. And then depending on how well they're playing, that's when you can be like, all right, we can put them near the top of the tree in the front if they're playing really well. And if they've had a little bit of a rough skid lately, you put it kind of towards the back or like on the side where a ton of people can't see it, but it still goes on the tree if they're around 500. These next couple of weeks are going to determine that for the Giants. But even if for some reason they were to lose a bunch of games in a row, I still think the ornament's going on the tree. So, I'm going with the Giants in this one.
Mama Carter has one rule about the Steelers ornament. It goes right under the North Star on the tree. So there you go.
I like it.
That's the rule. No matter how bad or good they are, it goes right at the top. She says every year she sends me a picture. She's like, I put it at the top. I'm like, that's right, Mom.
Yep, I respect it. Liz Harner's like, we're not putting this embarrassment on if they're 3-8. Nope, yank them out.
Get them out of here.
Yep, that's right.
All right, going to Broncos at Titans. Broncos 3-5, Titans 5-3. I don't care if Ryan Tannehill or Malik Willis is playing. The Titans need to beat the dog snot out of the Broncos. This is going to be ugly.
Yeah, there will be no let's ride from Russell Wilson this week. The Titans they play that physical game. We saw those battles in the trenches against the Chiefs that were working really well for them. I think that obviously Kansas City can find ways to beat those. I just don't think the Broncos can.
This could be the toilet bowl of the week. The 3-5-1 Colts at the 2-6 Raiders. Jenna, I've been back and forth about this game. The Raiders have been such a disappointment and so sad, but the Colts literally fired their head coach. They fired their offensive coordinator before that. They don't have anyone on their staff who's ever called a play for anyone. Jeff Saturday's never coached a game out of high school football. He's their new head coach. He was a consultant on ESPN before. And literally, someone pointed this out. I knew that he coached high school ball. He had a losing record as a high school football coach. So, I can't pick the Colts. I just can't.
Nope.
I just think that there's so much turmoil there. But granted, the Raiders are the kings of turmoil because I think their last 6 first-round picks have, I think, only 2 are on the team, and they're both busts. So it's hard times, but I'm going with the Raiders. They gotta win this game.
If there ever was a game to pick, these two teams are going to tie, this would be the game. This would be that game. Unfortunately, you can't do that. Yeah, this game to me, it could go so many ways. There's so many things that could happen. Obviously, the Raiders putting 2 key offensive guys on IR earlier this week. So, they're down more offensive weapons. I just think looking at on paper, a complete team, the more complete team is the Raiders, and just the Colts. Everything is like a big question mark. A lot of people are like, well, maybe this is that, spark that rejuvenates them. And you see, Jeff Saturday and the rookie quarterback, Sam Ellinger, working really well. No, I don't see that happening at all. Sam Ellinger got sacked 9 times by the Patriots last week. Nope. To me,
they're coming for him.
The Raiders are going to come for him, and this is going to be an ugly game. This game might honestly be one of those like 9-6, nobody scores a touchdown game, but the Raiders win.
Cowboys at Packers. This used to be like the storied NFC game of the year, with Aaron Rodgers versus whoever was quarterbacking for the Cowboys at times, or like Brett Favre versus Troy Aikman. But now the Cowboys are 6-2, coming off a bye, I believe, and the Packers are just abysmal at 3-6. I think the Cowboys just destroy. They mollywop these guys. It's going to be really ugly, and Aaron Rodgers is going to be cussing at his receivers again on the sideline.
Yeah, this game's going to be like 21-3 midway through the second quarter, and there's nothing. The Packers offense can't do anything right now. They've been so limited. They haven't been finding ways to get things going. We talk about sustaining drives. They have not been able to do that. I'm going for sure in this one with the Cowboys.
Cardinals at Rams, 3-6 Cardinals, 3-5 Rams. Look, as bad as the Cardinals have been, the Rams looked even worse last week against the Buccaneers. I'm going with the Cardinals. I'm not confident about it. I just feel like they're going to connect for some big plays. I haven't seen the Rams do that enough this year.
No, and if you're the Rams, you had like 5 chances to end that game last week against Tom Brady. And yes, it's Tom Brady, but it is not, the same Tom Brady that we've seen year in, year out. So, I just do not. Both of these teams are tough for me, but the Rams are clearly not the same team they were last year. I'm going with the Cards in this one. This could be another ugly one for sure.
Really quick, our night games: 5-3 Chargers at 4-4 Niners. I'm going with the Niners at home. I know the Chargers have Justin Herbert, but I think their defense does some damage and gets the win.
Yeah, I think the fact that the Chargers cannot stop the run no matter who they play this season tells me all I need to know. Niners in this one.
And the 4-5 Commanders at the 8-0 Eagles. I'm sorry, Eagles at home. Washington coming to Philly. It's going to be ugly.
Yeah, we talk about teams dealing with some turmoil here. There is so much surrounding Washington this week, and yes, it's not on the field, but it is leaking into that locker room. And Philly, if it was a team that was kind of comparable to Washington, I'd say it might be closer. Philly's going to go 9-0, and those Philly fans are going to be singing "Fly Eagles Fly" maybe every other offensive play.
It's going to be ugly there, but we'll talk about the Steelers-Saints game in just a minute, giving you our previews and final predictions here. But first, we got to talk about SimpliSafe. SimpliSafe, of course, is the ultimate place that you need to go to for home security. SimpliSafe Home Security is safety where the only thing is that safety matters, and they have the cutting edge technology that's going to be powered by 24/7 professional monitoring agents who always have your back, so you always know that your home is safe. What I can tell you is that SimpliSafe staff is always there to help you. They're attentive, they pay attention to what you're asking about, and they do everything they can to help you find whatever you're looking for or figure out whatever situation you're in. I really love the SimpliSafe phone app because it keeps you up to date with the safety of your home at all times, and it makes it easy to get answers when you have questions thanks to their app and their support team. With 24/7 professional monitoring, SimpliSafe's agents call you the moment a threat is detected and dispatch police or first responders in an emergency, even if you're not home or can't be reached. SimpliSafe blankets your home in protection with advanced sensors for every room, window, and door. HD security cameras for inside and outside your home. Customize the perfect system for your home in just a few minutes at SimpliSafe.com/LockedOnNFL. That's SimpliSafe.com/LockedOnNFL, and you can save 20% on SimpliSafe security systems when you sign up for an interactive monitoring plan and get your first month for free. Again, SimpliSafe.com/LockedOnNFL to learn more. There's no safe like SimpliSafe. Back here on the Locked On Steelers podcast, I'm Chris Carter. She's Jenna Harner. Jenna, it's time to talk Steelers Saints here. Now, Saints 3-6, Steelers 2-6. Neither of these teams have done too well this year, but the Saints are coming off a bad Monday night loss to the Ravens. They're on the short week. The Steelers are at home, and they're coming off the bye week. Is their chance to get rested. Now, we do know Damontae Kazee has been activated to the roster. We expect T.J. Watt to be activated to the roster as well, but Chris Boswell was put on injured reserve on Thursday afternoon. So Matthew Wright will be the kicker for the Steelers moving forward until he comes back. If he comes back, it'll take up to 4 weeks for that to happen. Jenna, just your sense of where this Steelers team is heading into their chance to turn their season around after the bye.
I think they know what's at stake here. I think that they know all of the problem areas that they really want to hone in on. And I think the bye, we always talk about, the bye couldn't have come at a better time. It really felt like after that loss to the Eagles, the Steelers were like, look, we know the issues we have to work on. And we heard from so many guys, Cam Hayward, Kenny Pickett, all these guys talking about how they like to attack the bye week. Some guys really like to just dive into as much film as they could. Other guys like to kind of, step back for a little bit, let their mind, let their bodies reset, and then dive back in. But the reality is that this team has had a chance to really self-scout when they hadn't had a ton of time to do that, because you're just, turning the page. Hey, we have to focus on our next opponent. We have to game plan for our next opponent. And this was an opportunity for them to say, hey, look, we know who we are. We know where we can be. We know at least the ceiling this team can reach. And we're going to take steps in that direction. Is it going to be all of a sudden we see an entirely different Steelers team on the field on Sunday? No, I don't think so. But I do think there will be aspects of both the offense and the defense that fans will look at and see, okay, they took a step here. They took strides. And of course, there's no moral victories. We're not, looking at it like, oh, well, they lost again, but the run looked a little bit better.
Right.
No, that's not going to be the case. But I do realistically think that we see a little bit more from this offense. We've heard from the guys kind of all week, the conversations that they all had with each other, the talking about distribution of plays, how they're going to look to kind of, switch things, of course, now that Chase Claypool's no longer a part of this team and part of this offense. And I really think that we will see this team take some strides. It's not going to be drastic. It's not going to be insane, but I think you will see signs of good things, especially from this offense, that say, hey, there is still something here. This team can still win games. And I think that's what's going to be the case this week. I think they're going to find a way to beat this Saints team. Najee Harris is going to get a little bit more involved. We're going to see more with the run, and you're going to see Kenny Pickett looking for guys like Deontay Johnson and George Pickens more, just in terms of what his abilities allow him to do. And I think there's going to be some positives. It's not all going to be pretty because, again, we know where this team is at right now, but I think having the bye will allow this team to take that step forward.
Jenna, give me your top factor to what's the turning point of this game and your final score prediction for who wins.
Well, I think I've kind of sounded like a little bit of a broken record, but can this offense sustain drives and find the end zone? I think a quote from Deontay Johnson keeps sticking out in my mind, where when we talked to him last week leading into the bye week, he said, as an offense, we need to find more ways to score. We have to make more plays. We have to get into the end zone more. And they can say that all they want until they do that, but I really think that is going to be something this offense does, where it's not just going to be one touchdown and 2 field goals. I think they will find the end zone twice. Some of their red zone struggles will still be there, but they'll still find ways to overcome them. I think the Steelers win this game. I'm going 24-17. It might be a little closer, and the Saints might do some things in garbage time, but I really think that this week, and especially too with the Steelers getting some guys healthy on defense, if TJ Watt is officially activated as we expect him to be, and then of course if he plays, defensive coordinator Terrell Austin was saying, he doesn't anticipate TJ Watt playing the full 60 minutes by any means, but I do think that TJ Watt's presence in there too, if that is the case, and if he does officially come off IR, will mean so much for what this defense is able to do as well.
The Steelers are 11-2 in the last 2 years when TJ Watt plays 60% of the snaps or more. If he plays 60% of the snaps, I like their chances because it means he is healthy. All things indicate that I think that he is actually 100% healthy. My colleague Ray Fittipaldo at the Post-Gazette says, no, this isn't him easing back into it. This is him being ready to go at 100%. I'll be intrigued to see if that is the case, or if Terrell Austin's fibbing a little bit there about, we'll use him a little bit, and maybe just kind of just trying to not let the Saints into how back he is right now. But I think that's a big factor in this game. The biggest turning point I have in this game is I think the Steelers have to shut down Alvin Kamara. They have to take away him and Taysom Hill. They cannot let this Saints team get easy yards on the ground where Andy Dalton doesn't have to make plays. From what I've heard from Ross Jackson, our Locked On Saints host, we did our crossover Thursday yesterday, he said this is Andy Dalton's last straw. That means Andy Dalton probably knows that, and it also means he's probably going to be playing a little bit more desperate in this game. So when you take away the run, first you got to take away the run, but if you take away the run, got to be prepared for those desperate moments. That means the defense, get after him. T.J. Watt, Alex Highsmith, Cam Hayward, Larry Ogunjobi, who did return to practice on Thursday, they have to get after them. They have to be able to create pressure, get sacks. And when Andy Dalton throws those errant passes, the Steelers cannot play like they did against the Jets and the Dolphins when they dropped multiple interceptions in both games. They got to capitalize, bring them in, and then the offense has to put up the points. I think that the offense will kind of do what they normally do, but maybe they'll pick up some progress here. But this game is going to have to be won with defense. The offense doing a little bit there and showing some improvement, but this has got to be a game where the defense stands up for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm like you, though. I think they win. I say a little bit lower, though, and scoring 17-13. I think this is a drag them out defensive battle where the Steelers eke out a win and kind of get a chance to say, hey, we can set a new tone in the second half of the season. There's our picks here on the Locked On Steelers podcast. I'm Chris Carter. She's Jenna Harner. Jenna, thanks so much for joining us. Let people know where they can find you, follow you, and get more of your work.
Well, thank you as always for having me. It's great to be back on Fridays. You can find me on Twitter at Jenna Harner11, Instagram Jenna_Harner, and on WPXI channel 11. And Chris and I will be doing high school football for Skylights live on Friday night at 11:15 on channel 11. So if you're in Pittsburgh, definitely tune in. Lots of really fantastic games. TJ Watt surprised a high school football team in the area, and it was a really cool story. So we have that coming for you too. But yeah, just tune in, and we'll have all your coverage from the Steelers game as well on Sunday.
Absolutely. Check out Channel 11. They do a lot of great work. So I'll be on with her Friday night on Skylights. I'll also be on Sunday night, The Final Word. Y'all can check that out after the Steelers game. We'll be talking about that there. But you can also find me here at all times, the Locked On Steelers podcast. I'm your host, Chris Carter. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Carter Critiques. Check out this show on Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Odyssey, and YouTube. Like the video on YouTube if you saw it. Subscribe to the YouTube channel to get all of our daily Monday through Friday episodes. We thank you for making the Locked On Steelers podcast your first listen every day. I'll be back Monday or Sunday night breaking things down on what happened with Steelers Saints. Stay tuned right here for all your Pittsburgh Steelers news.